Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Unplugged. As we promised you, we said we were going to bring TY back because you know the networks threw a tantrum about 2 weeks ago, major tantrum actually, like a toddler tantrum, and we couldn't finish that conversation, incredible conversation that we were having with him. So, true to our promise, we brought TY back, and he's going to help us close up the conversations we've been having about the power of the voice. Now, let me remind you that first we had Maureen Adebayo who talked to us about the texture, the tone, the things that a vocal artist who expresses herself through music would have to go through, the rigors. And then last week we had Jimmy Bankole who talked about being a voice actor, moving from being a voiceover artist to being a voice actor and doing everything in between. And we really had a blast. And today we are going to round it up with my new favorite person called TY. So welcome to the world of TY, and he's going to tell us all about himself. TY, you know you're soon going to be my most favorite person.
I thought you said I'm already.
Okay, yeah, already my favorite person. Okay, because apart from the fact that you have an incredible smile, guys, you have an incredible smile. He tries. So apart from that, I really love to get into the minds of millennials to understand your world and understand this whole thing about spoken word, how you do voiceovers now, become voice artists, because in my time, we did do voice artists and so on. We knew about them. But let's start with, how did you come into this space?
Okay. I've always had, I don't even know how it happened, but I've always had that enthusiasm for speaking. Right? I think it started perhaps in.
Were you talkative as a child?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I was one of those children where my dad would say, "Hey, go to the room," because we're big boys at the time.
Okay.
So, go to the room, stay in the room. And yes, I do. Yeah, I guess. But when I come out of my room, it's quiet mode until we get back to the room.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then in secondary school, I think I began to notice that I like oratory. I like when people come on stage, regardless of how big. Speak dialogue. Dialogue always interests me, and from there, it was Jet Club. Jet Club, that's the club for young scientists. Basically, people in science departments. So you want to go to university, study anything engineering or science related. Jet Club is the club for you, so you can interact and know.
Which uni was this?
Just secondary school.
Oh, secondary school. Okay.
Yeah, so I was one of the lecturers, lecturer 3. Lecturer 3, and then for maths club, I was the president.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed those
times. The sciences.
Yeah, I was in science.
And you loved maths enough to be the president of the math club.
Yes. And
you are a spoken word artist. Okay, we need to hear more about that.
So every time that I would have to, as either the lecturer 3 for Jet Club or the president of Maths Club, you'd have to either the opening address or something like that. So when I did that, it was always good. Then I remember that there's a book where you find idioms and quotes as well, and then you cram them, and so that when you come out, exactly. Yeah. There's one particular one that I can't seem to forget. Never trouble, but to trouble
zero.
Forever there. So yeah, it was always nice. And then, my dad would say, "Oh, so you're going to become an engineer. Your brother is going to be a doctor." And to me, he wasn't quite sure what he was going to be, but definitely science related as well.
Okay.
But then I went to the university. It was supposed to be mechanical engineering. But somehow during the admission, they changed it. So it became chemical engineering. Well, my dad didn't know mind. It was engineering. It's even chemical. Nice, let's do this. So 2 years into the university, 2 years into the university, how it happened for me, because prior to now, I didn't listen to the radio. Well, anytime I had the chance, especially when I was at home. But when I go to the university, I was trying to still find my place really in school, because I like to think that I grew up in school, even though obviously I I got admission when I was 15.
Really?
Yeah. So
your parents let you go?
Yeah. My dad is always go to school and all. So I grew up in school. Most of the things that I learned, I found out that this is actually good or this is bad in school. So during that time, I was trying to find my feet around. What do I really want to do? I was listening to the radio, and there was this guy who was speaking pidgin. He was a pidgin presenter, and then people were listening to the radio as well, and they were hating the guy. And I'm from Warren, by the way, so I was like, he's not even doing the words. And the bottom pidgin, are you speaking and all? And then I told myself that, you know what, I'm going to eventually let these people know that I can speak better pidgin than whoever that person is. And that was first semester of 200 level. So the second semester, luckily, I don't know, I stumbled upon the poster for volunteers at the radio station, the school campus radio station. So when I saw that, I was like, and I remembered, I did say that I was going to come back and let these people know that I can speak better pidgin. So I decided that, you know what I'm going to do for the audition. It was 3 days or 2 days. And I will speak better pidgin. I just want to prove, I don't want to go in there, I just want to let them know that I can speak better pidgin. So when the day came in the morning and when I was done, I liked it. And then they also liked it, the judges, they liked it as well. And then when I came out of the booth, I said that, you know, Lord, I prayed that, Lord, I knew that I said I was going to prove that I can speak better pidgin. Obviously, I just think I did because they liked it. Now I want to do this radio. I want to be here and all. And then I got in that same day. And from there, that's been like that. So starting with as a pidgin presenter. And then 2 years after, I guess, I transitioned into English presentation. So from then to now...
Did you finish your degree?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you finished and you handed that over to your parents?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so school is over now, and you did your mandatory youth service. Okay, so tell us more about the journey.
Oh yeah, so I was at the school's campus radio, by the way, Search FM. Shout out to Search FM. So I was there, and then I transitioned already to an English presenter. So I left for service. I served in Ekiti State, Ekiti. And so I had because obviously being the radio, you have some friends that perhaps are like you that share the same passion and want to do radio as well, big time. And so I did have I had a couple of friends, kind of like the radio or the media people for youth core members. So I did join, and it was a journey actually. So when I got into the camp, I got to the camp on the first day. So they were calling already you were supposed to write an essay. I did study mass communication. I didn't do anything art related, chemical engineering by the way. So the only thing I had on my CV that can qualify me is that I've worked in the radio station before in a school campus radio. But then when I wrote my essay, apparently they already had other people there with their essays as well. So I wasn't the only person that got the tip off. And so eventually when they selected the people they wanted to, I wasn't part of it. But I remember that my friend told me, you don't stop, keep pushing until you get it. Because when you get there, number one, you choose where you want to be your PPA as your primary place of assignment. Okay. Yes, you choose there. You basically get professional treatment because you work with...
They're an integral part of the system.
Yes, they are. So I continued. I was looking for a way to get into the OBS. So at the time, I remember there was this guy, he was a photographer, and I think he noticed, I can't remember how, but we shall became close, and then he told me, let's go to the markets, Mami markets, to look for people that would advertise their products on OBS. Okay. So we did go there. He would get me the clients. The client would tell me what they want. I would write them out, I would script, and I would voice. So I was doing that for, I think, a week plus, and still, no way. I'm not in OBS, even though I work with OBS, but I'm not in OBS. So eventually, I think 2 weeks before the end of camp, somehow I got in because they said, this guy is the guy that does all the, you're the guy, you're the voice. Yeah, I am. And so I got into OBS. After OBS, we left the camp. I was posted to the guys' photography company. But he didn't stay for long, so he left. So I had to change my PPA, and I changed to the state broadcasting service, the radio. I did that. I stayed with them. I also applied for FRCN, and I was doing a youth program for them as well. So I was doing both of them for a year until I left OBS. So left NYC. So when I left NYC, I went back to the house. I went back to work. I was looking for a radio job. And then my dad had another plan. His plan was, you're going to do masters. I'm like, all right, cool. First if I get this job, I'm not doing any masters at all. But then, while I was trying to sort that out, I couldn't land any job there at the time until I had to, I'm like, Dad, you hold the masters first. Let me get my money. I think I don't want to ask you for so much money because obviously I had other brothers as well. So I left and I went to Port Harcourt. I went to meet my mom in Port Harcourt, and when I did, but before Port Harcourt, I went back to Mina, Niger State. I studied at FUT Mina, Federal University of Technology. So I went back because my bosses there promised that, we are going to get you the job as a staff of the radio station in school. I'm like, all right, dope. So when I got there, they were trying to, obviously it's federal government job, so it takes a bit of time. So while I was waiting for that, I could not wait any longer because I did not have cash with me and things were getting really hard. And so I decided to come to Port Harcourt. And I did come to Port Harcourt. And I now remember, I was listening to radio because I've always loved listening to radio. I think one of the key things for anybody that wants to do radio or media in general, you must put your ear close to the source, where you want to go to. You need to
know how other people are doing.
Exactly. They tell you, listen to other people, listen to other stations. Whether you like them or not, just listen so that you can improve on what you have. So I was doing that, and I discovered that there was somebody that I went to service with. We served together. We were in the same editorial. Because when you leave OBS, the CDS group you join is editorial, so if you don't want to.
What is editorial?
Editorial is the media CDS group. So they're in charge of magazines.
Okay.
So her name is Constance, by the way. Constance Mega.
Okay.
I think last year.
Hey, Constance.
Exactly. She's in Nigeria for now. So Constance was in Family Love FM, Port Harcourt. And then I told her about, I'm here now and I want to get a job. She's like, okay, here they're not paying well though. And besides, should I just stay here for her? I'm like, I don't even care about that. I want to just start something. And that's what I did. And 3 months into the radio, 3 months into my stay at Family Love FM, without pay, by the way, it was freelance because I wanted to do something and just leave the house.
It was important for you to get something on your CV.
Yes, it was. So I did. In fact, the radio show that I started doing was something I didn't like. First of all, it was midnight. So by 12, it would end by 4. And obviously, the only thing people do at that time, people want to listen to, is love and relationship and stuff. So there was somebody that was already handling that. So I joined the person, trying to learn more. I don't want to be here. I know how to do this thing. But anyway, I stayed there for 3 months, and then she left. She went abroad. So I took over. So 2 months after I took over, I was still doing voiceover. I was doing some voiceover for the station at the time because the producer would come and say, who can record this? I'm like, I can. And I did. It was a particular time when it was a Sunday morning. I didn't go to church that morning. I went to the office, and I usually don't come to the office during the day. It's usually very late in the evening, and then next morning by 6 or 7, before 7, I'm already out of the office. So when I came the other day, that particular Sunday, the general manager was around. So she saw me in one of the offices. I'm like, who are you? What are you doing here? And in my head, I've been here for 3 months. Like, no, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, madam, I work here. I don't even know you like that, but I've heard about you. I said, okay. So I did a voiceover for her that day. And eventually, the person that was doing the afternoon show, which was what I wanted to do all morning, the person that was doing it decided to leave because he wasn't comfortable with the money anymore, with the salary at the time. So he left, and she brought me in to do the afternoon. I'm like, oh, great. And that's how I became a staff of the station. I did that for a year, no, 2 years. Then I left to and here I'm back to Port Harcourt.
Yeah. There's so many things that I'm picking from your story so far, and I think it's important not just for your generation, but for anybody who's building a brand. And one of them is just be persistent. Well, number one, hone your craft.
Yeah.
Hone your craft. It's never too early to start honing your craft, and keep at it no matter what. Don't take no for an answer. You know, someone had asked me sometime, said, I don't think they asked me directly. I was in a group, and they asked, how do you know when to pursue something and when to let it go if it's not for you? I said, you know what? Just put your foot in the water. Step in the water. The water will part for you if it's yours. Yeah, there'll be some resistance initially, but you kept pushing through. Yeah. And you did that during the youth service. You did that during the Love FM when you worked for 3 months without pay, and then take any opportunity you see, take it and make the best of it. And because you always showed up, some of us don't show up for life. You're waiting for someone to hear a big voice say. I know it's written in the Bible that we will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." And we're waiting to say, "Go left." Okay, sorry, go right. Go left, and it doesn't always work out that way. But intuitively, you'll know. But you will only know when you show up for life, and you come correct. So that those are very powerful lessons. I don't know if you've had time to reflect on those things in your life, because I'm about to ask you about the spoken word. But is there any other thing that you've learned? Because you were not disobedient to your parents. You did what they wanted you to do. But you were also very sure of the path you wanted to take.
Is there a question there?
There's a question there. Is there any other thing that you've learned along the path that you've walked so far?
Okay, yes, I guess, and it's something that I also share with anybody that I've come across in this same pursuit for, I want to be a radio personality, I want to do radio, I want to do media, basically this line of work. I always say that it wasn't easy. Like you said, the persistence and all. Now that you said it, I did not even think about it when I said that I was in camp. Because really, I think that was where, not even in camp, I think when I heard that guy speaking pidgin and I wanted to do better, I don't even know how it happened. But I knew that I had a passion for dialogue. And I keep saying this, aside just radio, because some people are passionate about radio. I was passionate about radio, but that's not really what drives me. What drives me is conversations. Like this, we can have this conversation until tomorrow.
Me too.
And I'm good, right? So it is dialogue that drives me. So anytime I'm in a space where I can have that one-on-one conversation.
So you feed off other people's energy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily talking all the time, it's also listening to people, because aside all of the glory that comes with it, it's a lot of I like to think that so much is happening in the world, so much is happening with people. I met somebody one time that told me that we all have stories. Yes, we all have stories. So every time I have
one day you should sit here and I'll tell you my story.
Right. Every time I have an opportunity to meet people, I like to hear their story. Honestly, I think that you have to tell me anything deep, but just talk, and I feel like it will come out. Yes. So that has always driven me. And not stopping, like you said, honing your craft. I remember times when, and then people ask me, because I knew there were people that I started with in the campus radio. Most of them, I don't think they're doing radio now. And even if they are, I don't think they're doing as much as I am doing it now. There were times when I would go back to the room and I would write a script or pull up something and go over it over and over and over again and practice. And when I speak and people say, you from Warrior? So I don't think you're from Warrior. I am from Warrior. I grew up in Warrior, right? But then...
Yeah, prove it. How do you know you're from Warrior?
Yeah, so that's what it says. But then it's practice. And just, if you know that's what you want, why not go for it and do what you need to do until you get it. and it's not, and it's. I think it's a continuous journey. It's not something that I know that now because thinking about the number of years that I have been doing this. So basically, it started in 2012. So from 2012 to now, it's 10 years. 2022 June to make 10 years proper. I knew that it wasn't easy. But every time that I'm in a particular place, I know that it's a step to another level, and so I would work as much as I possibly can to get to the next level, and it comes eventually.
So you're very deliberate.
Yes.
So what is a brand called TY? What are the components? How would we differentiate TY from anyone? What do you bring to the table as
what do I bring to the table?
Uniquely you? Yes.
Oh yes, I guess that I'm unconventional. I guess.
Okay.
Yes, and
no, that's not because of your hair. Because this hair was conventional in my day.
It was.
It was.
Yes, it was.
It was conventional in my day. I mean, my generation produced Bob Marley. Okay, I'm not as old as that. Close enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Honestly, I don't think I fully know what that is.
Okay.
I don't think I fully know what that is.
Okay, but there must be some reasons why people say, okay, I prefer TY. I mean, I look at you. You look like how would I say it? You look like if I say dormant, let me say sleeping volcano, not a dormant one. You look like you're just quiet, but something's going to explode out of you. Maybe people pick up on that vibe and say, yeah, he's not going to send us to sleep. Something's going to burst out. But why am I talking about brand? I mean, Julia Jacks Consulting is all about brand amplification and why we're looking at the power of the voice. There are many ways in which people build personal and corporate brands around the voice. And the voice is not just, obviously, not just what we say, but the way we say what we say, the way you can make a living, the way you can become recognizable. Yeah, and last week, when I spoke with Jimmy Bankole, we spoke about James L. Jones. He was the first voice of CNN when CNN started.
Right.
In a different world from yours, and he was the one that said, "This is CNN." And he was so recognizable. Everybody knew James L. Jones' voice, So, what would your desire as a brand? Because it's only as brands that we can recognizable brands, desirable brands, brands that can command their own fees. Really, because at the end of the day, I mean, we have to get some fees. It may not just be like that, although we need that to live, but also perhaps some kind of promotion, elevation to somewhere you didn't plan. So, are you going to ask me? Is there a question?
No. I think it is. It's kind of like basically explaining your first question.
Yes.
I think I understand it better now.
Okay.
And I'd say first that I don't know what other people see. I guess we should ask them what they see about when they say they look at TY. That's one. But I do know that I think it's the ideology. And for me, regarding my brand, is I will not stop. That's one. Until I get to where I want to get to, and I'm not close to it yet.
So you are persistent.
Yeah, we'll do the
work. And you're hungry.
Yes, I am.
All right.
So, and I'm not afraid.
Do your hungry voice. Let's hear it. I'm hungry.
I am hungry.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm one of those persons that I'm ready to do the work as well. Whatever it takes to get to that level, I'm down for it. But also, the philosophy that I have is, like I said, dialogue feeds me. Conversation. I like to be in a room where I like to think that sometime in the future I would basically be doing what you're doing, where I just have people and we talk perhaps every day, maybe not the same people because we're boring, but then different people.
Well, it's not actually very boring talking to the same people because, we are so multi-layered. And as we get more comfortable with people, we reveal another layer, and it gets deeper. So things like maybe we should start a podcast.
We should.
Maybe we should do that, you know? Maybe we should do that. 2 generations, you know? We should do that. Looking at things from FL guys. I mean, you heard it here first. Tiwa and I are probably going to start a podcast, you know? But it would be really interesting to see things from different perspectives and from different lens, you know? I don't think I'm very much of that back in the day kind of person, you know? I have a teenager and she will not let me live in back in the day, you know? And I am surrounded by millennials, oh my goodness. You know? But that keeps me very firmly rooted in this millennium, you know. So Tiwa, OEP, how did you guys become rock stars?
Rockstars.
Yeah.
The age for rockstars, I don't think is my age because I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, there are a number of people that I don't know if you started at the same time, but they are there in terms of. I think it's the fame that gives you that makes you the rock star.
Yeah, but I mean, how did they get to the?
Number one, the work. Obviously, can't take away the fact that those people they really put in as much work as possible. They are persistent as well. Another thing is the right platform. The right platform to sell your voice. Because I remember at Family Love FM, I had a particular the station manager. Is now the station in Lagos, in Inspiration FM, and he would say, "You have 5 minutes," because anybody who does radio, obviously, if you have a business and if your business has ever gone on radio, you know that time is important. So 5 minutes
is a long time.
Yes, a long time. 2 minutes, in fact, is a long time. 30
in
seconds.
Basketball.
Right. Good. So he would say that you have 5 minutes. You know how do you want to pay for your 5 minutes that you have on air? So at the time, I had 2 hours on the radio. You have 2 hours on the radio. Can you pay for it if you want to pay for it? No, I can't. So sell it. So sell your content, sell your voice and all. Now for these other people, and if you check, the people who are famous, the rock stars, they are in very big brands. Even though sometimes, even if they are not in big brands now, they were in a big brand, and it was that brought
the platform.
Exactly, that brought the fame that they have now, and also time. Yeah, time issue that as well.
So there has to be how do I call it? A series of interconnected, lucky events, be at the right place at the right time.
Confluence
of things, and you have to be the right person.
Yes.
At that time.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if this is the right time to ask you to give us a spoken word before you tell us about what the spoken word poet is. Okay. You know.
All right, I guess I'd have to use my phone because that's where.
Okay.
All right. So I wrote this in where before I came. Okay. I think I knew that was when I got the job here in Port Harcourt. I had like a month or 2 months before I resumed. So it's like, oh, thank God, because when I was in I wasn't going to church. Every day work.
Your pastor is listening to this.
It's fine. Now, no, I wasn't. Honestly, I wasn't going to church because of how number one the schedule that I had to work.
Okay, you were on the midnight shift, right?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, which shift were you on?
The one in Owerri.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing the morning.
Okay.
I was in the morning.
And you were doing weekends as well?
Weekends, Sunday morning.
Okay.
To 12 too. So I was usually in the office. I mean, my house was close to we had the lodge, which was close to the office. So it was easy for us then. Anyway, and I read this because I knew that I was going back to church.
Okay, redemption time.
So here it goes. Yo, I guess today is the day. The day that I stopped running. Bury all of my excuses, RIP all of them, gone. All 101 of them, I am one of them, and back to the 99. The lost sheep has found its owner, dark-skinned, Jewish boy, son of the Most High, the one we've all come to learn to love. You cannot stop now. He said, wake the courage in your veins, embrace this agape love, there is none better out there. I'm prodigal son, back to love, back to giving and sharing. Oh, I miss this love. That selfless love, I will forgive again type of love. I said, I'm prodigal son, back to love, back to giving and sharing. Oh, I miss this love. So I guess today is the day. The day I shovel my pride, gather the shattered pieces of my faith and hold it up to the sky and hope that the one who is able to restore broken pieces of my excitement in his house, my dependence in his voice, my compass forged by his word, understanding me perfect through his spirit. I say, today is the day. I rejoice with the fold. There will be no more lonely nights, not one more night breezed by the cold, in the company of doubt and forgiveness and fear. I promise, those nights are over. Remember, I am a prodigal son. Been there, done that, back to base, back to love, back to giving and sharing. Oh, I miss this love, that selfless love. I will trust again type of love. I said, I'm prodigal son, back to love, back to giving, back to sharing. Oh, I miss this love. So I guess today is the day. The day I trade my shame and failure for his shame and victory. Now his shame is mine, but his victory is mine also. Now you cannot hold this smile from ear to ear, year to year. God is faithful, none compare. Which begs the question, why did I leave in the first place? I was caught in the wind. My heart, armed to the teeth with grief, wrestled my mind to the ground, grabbed it by its throat, choked it until it forced depression out of its mouth, and sold its body to traders that will one day bring me to Egypt. No, I'm not Joseph. I say I'm prodigal son. Had everything, but took some to Egypt. Spent it all, now to his senses returns for back to love. Back to giving and sharing. Oh, I miss this love. I will pray for you again type of love. I said I'm prodigal son. I guess today's the day. Yeah.
I always love the story of the prodigal son.
Right.
Yeah.
I think everybody should have a poem about being a prodigal because I feel like we are all prodigal sons.
Yeah, I'm
At some
keep
point.
returning.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep returning. Yes, and yeah, I'd like to listen to that again.
Cool.
Maybe slower. Maybe slower. Yeah, maybe slower because I was listening to hear your cadence. I was listening to hear what you were saying. And I think if I had it a bit slower, I probably go into my deep reflection mode.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, but thank you for sharing that with us, and I think this is a natural segue to us talking about two things as we round up.
Okay.
Two things. One of them being spoken word. Where is that going to lead you? Is this a natural extension of you as a voice artist?
Okay.
And the second question being, what's next?
Oh, spoken word as an extension of a voice art. No. Just like radio, I think I also fell into spoken word poetry.
Okay.
And I think, even though I would write normally when I was in secondary school, but as I never knew that there was actually a career for people that write.
It's massive.
Aside being an author or anything, but you a spoken word artist or a poet. So I learned that in during the camp with my friend who I was with at the time, and then he took me to. We were in the media group in NCCF. NCCF is Nigerian Christian Couples Fellowship.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were in the same group in the fellowship. It was the media group. And then he was watching spoken word videos. And I'm like, these are really good. And I never knew this is what it's called. And I know I can do this. And then I did at the time. And it was good, so I continued. So like I said, I think I fell into it as well. It just happened. Even though I've been unknown to me, I've been doing that. I think I've been asked that question as well. So what's this spoken word? Where are you taking it?
No, just the whole bundle that is Tiwa.
Oh,
yeah. What's next for you?
Oh, what's next for me? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm still grinding. I'm still concerning, for example, I'm no longer an OAP. Yeah, I made this speech when I came back to Port Harcourt because in my head, where I want to be is. You gave an example the last time you spoke, Krishna Amanpour.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she she is a news anchor.
Yeah.
Right? And
Very authoritative.
Exactly. So I feel like there are two ways you can go, two major ways you can go, a lot of ways. But at the time in my head, what I was thinking of two ways. Either I would continue to be a radio personality or an OAP for the longest and get to a very big brand and stay there.
And the podcasters are really becoming rockstars these days.
They are.
They are really, they're like really big. I don't know how much podcasting has grown in Africa.
Yes.
No, well,
maybe not as big as the contemporaries.
Because and there's so many channels now where you can push it out. So I guess the importance of building your brand becomes more important. Yes. More urgent. People knowing your voice, because that's your signature. Your voice and your style will become your signature. And checking it out. Part of why I'm saying it is that there are probably parents out there who are just wondering, my daughter, my son, all they spend their time doing is scribbling. Either scribbling on pieces of paper or on their phones. Yeah, typing it out on their phones, and they're just wondering, so is this what I suffered for? For my child to be scribbling was like, I mean, I'm back. We put it on. Back from where? Who sent you? That kind of thing. But I'd like you to give some comfort. I mean, I already know, being in the creative space myself, that the first time I heard what I would call the spoken word would be a guy called Edward Kamal Brathwaite, who wrote a trilogy of poems called The Passage. I think it was called The Passage. I'm not sure. But Edward Kamal Brathwaite. And I first read it and it blew my mind. It was about the movement from Africa through the Middle Passage to the New World, right? And my lecturer at the time, this was in uni, my lecturer at the time was so passionate about us understanding that she got a recording of him reading his poem. And I tell you, that is one book I still have from my university days. Amazing. I mean, it just blew me. It just blew me, And then going to study at the time for a master's degree, I now started listening to Afro-Caribbean, we used to call them urban griots. They're storytellers. They just I can't explain, but this was something that young people could just go sit down. You don't have a cover, you don't have a dime, you don't have anything, but you can just go sit down and listen to these people, and they're talking about. I remember this guy saying, who that? To say who that when I say who that. Near a park, and we were just listening to him. We couldn't get close to the front. We were just listening to him, and it was just a whole subculture which has now become mainstream.
Yes,
because they were like the rebel poets at that time. So now, how are we going to translate? How is it going to be a career that people? Because that's one thing that a parent would want, that your child is sorted. I'm sure we will never know, but it's good to have some comfort. I'm sure your parents would like to have that comfort that you'll be okay. So what comfort can you offer parents, many of whom will listen to this, and what confidence can you offer your generation that, hey, if you're on that track, stay on it?
All right. I'll start first by saying that if your child or your brother or somebody that you want the best for is scribbling or or basically doing spoken word or whatever it is called, just writing something down, because that's where it starts from. It is amazing, because what that means is there's so much inside it. Because if you don't have anything inside, you can't bring it out.
True.
Right. So it means that, number one, there's so much you can get from that. Oh, you can scribble, you have notes, you write things down. It is very powerful because maybe the person wants to have a conversation. True. At least I feel that.
Okay.
Conversation, yes, conversation helps. So if you verify, as I said, if you have a child who's scribbling, you should get close to the child because number one, when you write your thoughts out down on the paper, it's also therapeutic as well because it helps your mind and it also refreshes you, especially when they can say whatever they've written down to somebody else. Some people might not want to do that, but if they also have the courage to want to share what they have written down to other people, then you know that it is deep.
Those subliminal thoughts, those ones that you feel when nobody and express when nobody is watching or listening, they come out through your words.
Yes, they do come out. So that's something that any parents should be happy about because we hear of cases where people take a lot of things. Obviously, I did say that we go through a lot of things, yes. And so when there is no medium to express yourself, especially when, for example, you're frustrated or you're overjoyed and then you cannot really let it out because for people who do that, for parents that, oh, why is my child writing? I want you to do something better with your life and you're doing this. I feel like sometimes it's because they don't have an avenue to express themselves. So once they find that, oh, I can actually write or I can speak a certain type of way rhythmically and it will make sense. Number one, it brings joy to them first. And then number two, they can make a career out of it. How they do that, it is by your help. And your help is to encourage them to do so. Give them whatever they need to do that. And you can be a spoken word artist and be a doctor.
True.
Yeah. You know, it's a flexible career.
Yeah.
Obviously, in time, you might decide, okay, this is what I want to dedicate myself to this entirely. But not everybody that writes would want to be a spoken word artist or pursue that career path. So encourage them. Writing doesn't mean that your child is going to be something you don't want your child to be. I think it's something that everybody should encourage. Everybody should be encouraged to do, even if you don't want to pursue the career path. That's one. Encourage your child. Encourage whoever the person is. Give them the right environment for that, and also encourage them to share what they have. Because number one, it is very, very therapeutic. It's not just for them alone, but also for you as well. So that's one. I don't think I remember the second question.
Don't think I remember.
So, but basically, that's what it says. Keep pushing for people who are already on the path. Keep pushing. There's no ceiling. There's no ceiling. Just keep going. I've heard of poets that were doing something else before, and then even here in Nigeria, I don't follow a lot of Nigerian poets, but I know them. I think if I see one, I recognize. I've heard a couple of their projects as well. I think that it can be a lonely path.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be a lonely path, especially if you write so much and cannot express it. There's no platform for you to express. So when you express it, it's not like people don't get what you are trying to say. Just the same way I read my poem and he said he needed more time to grasp everything I was saying. I might go somewhere and then present that. And I'm like, okay, all right. But sometimes in church when, for example, I perform and I get the I feel like it's a certain type of response.
Yeah.
In my head, two things happen. So I'm like, okay, that's good, but did you really hear what I said?
That's it. You know, sometimes we hear the sound and then we have to now hear the soul behind the sound. And I don't think you can get it
at that point.
Yeah, at one drop. You need to let it filter through because sound waves. I just believe it comes from you, it stays in me. I mix it with my experience. And I can't remember the second question. I'm going to ask you this one. Is your father happy with you now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All is forgiven.
Yeah, all is forgiven. Even though I'm not going to stop here, I'd have to go to school, obviously. Yes.
For engineering again?
No.
Okay.
I think ultimately, parents would, even if that's what you want for your child, I want my child to do this, I think it gets to a point where the parents would realize, maybe not all parents, but I think you get to a point where parents realize that, oh, are you okay? At the end of the day, it's not about what I want for you.
Yeah.
It's, are you okay? So if it gets to that point, I don't think, if you have a child and you're pushing the child and the child maybe doesn't do what you want the child to do, but does something else, as long as the child is comfortable and okay and well with health-wise, mentally and all, I think any parent would be happy for the child. So my dad is happy for me, even though I'm not there yet. Though.
Okay. No, I'm happy with you not being there yet because you see, you're giving yourself more headroom to keep.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of this. I'm a fan of better.
Right.
So every year we go better. Okay. Okay. Well, guys, you heard me from Eyituoyo, TY, and it's been fun talking to him. And this time with no interruptions, and also introducing you to what we're experimenting with new style of unplugged. For wherever we have the opportunity, we will do it live, face to face, so that we do not get those nasty interruptions. That spoil our brand and spoil your enjoyment of our brand. But TY has been extremely sharing, open about his journey, which you may relate to. If you don't relate to it, your children and your wards, your siblings or younger siblings may relate to his journey. And definitely, while we all have desires and we have plans for our children, please remember that you didn't particularly like your parents planning your life for you as well. So cut them some slack, give them a break, and support them as best as you can when they come up to you and say, "Hey, Mom, I think I want to be a podcaster." Or as my friend told me last week, what did he say? A vodcaster. These things will keep coming up. And as long as the metaverse keeps expanding, trust me, the universe has already put all these things in place for us to just explore and discover. Still, I thank you very much. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure, so we share the pleasure. We share the pleasure, and guys, look out. I mean, hold my feet to the fire about that podcast, because I think it will be fun. It will be fun to just come in here and do unplugged in the podcast format.
Yes.
It would be fun. Especially we look at life from two different lenses. So that would be great to do. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week when we start another series in May on Unplugged. Bye.